She was one-third of one of the most popular girl groups in the world. I'm talking about none other than the one and only Destiny's Child. But while Michelle Williams was dazzling audiences on the stage, she was also struggling with a big secret. In 2021, Michelle Williams released her highly personal memoir, Checking In. It deals with struggles with anxiety and depression. She joins me now to share a little more about her extraordinary journey. Michelle, my friend, good to see you.
What's up, Mark? It's so good to see you. It's always good to chop it up with you.
How do you make sense of all of this? You know, people are like, how could Michelle Williams ever be depressed? She's one of the most popular people in the world. She happy. Everything is good. She rich. She famous. How's she going to be depressed?
Well, I'm a very transparent person, but I just had therapy about an hour ago. And I promise you, this is what I was telling my therapist because I remember saying, I couldn't wait to get out the house. I couldn't wait to get out the house. I couldn't wait to make a certain amount of money. And then I realized 30 years later, success does not heal trauma, right? And so I came into Destiny's Child. I came into the music industry with an undiagnosed, with depression being undiagnosed. I didn't find out I was dealing with depression until I was in my 30s. So we traced it all the way back till around the 7th grade from when I can recall certain symptoms and certain things that were different. So yeah, but I didn't find out until I was in my 30s. As a matter of fact,
Wow.
Destiny's Child, we weren't even touring when I got the diagnosis.
Wow. You know, high achieving people can sometimes continue to shine and thrive while dealing with something like this and nobody even notices it. Was that part of what it was? Because you were doing so many big things, because you were successful with the music, did people just assume you weren't depressed? Did you assume yourself, hey, things must be all right?
Well, depression doesn't have a look. Most of the time, it's a feeling. But because I was having the time of my life with two of the most precious women in my life, like it was fun. It was good. It was amazing. Also, we didn't have time to be depressed.
I know that's right.
The moments when it would come up is when there was downtime. And I'll never forget Beyonce's mom coming into my hotel room. She actually had to bring this back to my memory. She said, Michelle, you don't remember me coming into your room one day saying, Michelle, open up these curtains. Let some light in here. So I make sure, by the way, everything in my home, windows, I don't even want curtains. Because I like the light to come in, not for any other reason but that. But I'll never forget she telling me I had to come in your room and open up the curtains. But once we were working on stage, doing interviews and just out and about, you do put the face on, the mask on. You do. Because you're also battling gratitude. Should I say something? Should I not? But you're supposed to be thankful that you're here.
Right, right. Is it scary then once you recognize that you're dealing with depression or whatever the thing might be to then share it to the inner circle? Like, for example, do you tell Kelly and Beyonce? Do you tell Miss Tina? Do you tell your mama? Do you tell your friends? Do you tell your church family? Like, how do you deal with that?
No one knew really out of my mouth. Well, I'll say this. We've already talked about this, so I don't want this to be a headline, not from y'all, but people will extract parts of interviews and make it an interview on their particular media platforms. But I'll never forget in the early 2000s, I did speak with our manager and I said, hey, I think I'm depressed. And he said, no, y'all got Barbie dolls, Mattel and Hasbro. Y'all just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. Y'all are finna go on tour. There's no way you can be depressed.
Wow.
So at that time, I said, well, maybe you're right. I thought maybe I'm homesick, hormonal. I was like, I don't think I'm still going through puberty. But even in the seventh grade, I was like, is this what it feels like to grow up? Because if it does, I don't want this. I remember that. I thought it was growing pains. Then I was like, well, maybe it is me being a woman. But by the time I mentioned that I'm depressed while I'm in Destiny's Child, I don't know if it was necessarily dismissed, but Matthew did say, he said, Michelle, had I knew then what I know now about mental health, depression, and anxiety, he said, I would have made sure you got the help you need. But also some of it fell on me because remember, I felt that money was going to take away everything. Success was just going to make everything better. All money and success does, it helps you get resources a little quicker. You can pay your therapy bill in full. That's all it does for you.
Right.
But it don't
But
take,
you still need it.
But you still need it, but it doesn't take away that stuff that you saw or witnessed as a little girl, or pain or abuse of inflicted on you as a little girl. How many of us are grown women and grown men with bruised babies with bruised that child, that son? You're a bruised little boy, you're a bruised little girl, you're wounded, you're hurt. How many of us are still, as a grown woman or a grown man, even walking around with fear that was put in you as a child? You have your own reasons for the fear. Maybe you were abused and you knew that when daddy came home or if mama came home, you didn't know if that argument was going to turn into murder. You didn't know if you were going to get beat in the process. You didn't know if you were going to be verbally abused in the process. So you just fear and isolate. Some of us, we carry that even as grown men and women.
Wow.
It's got to be healed. It's got to be uprooted. You got to talk about it and know that it's okay. I feel like I can breathe better because I talk about it. I'm free.
One of the places you talked about it was the book, checking in. I think your book was incredible for a lot of reasons, but I always wondered when I read it, and I always meant to ask you, did it do therapy for you? Was there something healing about writing it?
It was, Mark. Thank you for asking. I'm not going to lie, I had help writing the book. I list her in the book. Her name is Holly Crawshaw. I was able to get a cabin in the mountains, and I remember giving her voice notes, stuff out of the journal from when I was hospitalized with depression. I had a journal. I had all kinds of things. And so we began to put things on the wall, like a whole book vision board. And Holly says, Michelle, you have a book. I was like, you really? Yes. So everything that I wrote while I was going through it was therapeutic. It's all in the book. And we added some stuff that wasn't in my journal and stuff like that. We added stuff along the way as I was getting revelation, because even daily, as long as you're doing the work, Mark, you will always get some revelation. And when you get revelation, you begin to have compassion and empathy for a lot of people around you, even for the people you should be mad at, could be mad at.
You ain't never lied. Sometimes I meet people, especially in this business, you could just tell they haven't been loved well. And you could tell that they've been through some trauma. And going through my own therapy, my own reflection, my own healing journeys, I've been able to say they need something
that's good.
They didn't get. You know what I mean? And it helps me forgive them even in advance. It gives me some perspective
so good.
on them.
And Mark, you've been very open about a lot of loss that you've suffered. You've had family members to leave this earth, and go to their creator. Then you also had loss with a business, your books. I mean, by the way, loss just ain't death. Loss is somebody breaking into your place of business, taking stuff. That's loss.
Sure is.
You know what I mean? And you have been telling us what has been going on. So my heart has gone out to you many a days, because I'm like, he has to still go to work. He still got to report the news. He still has to be present.